We always thought the great silence of the universe was a mystery. We thought we were alone because life was rare. We were wrong. The universe is screaming. We're just the only ones deaf enough to keep broadcasting our location. On July 14th, the screaming stopped because something finally heard us. It didn't start with a giant ship over a city. It started with the birds. At 4 p.m., every bird on Earth stopped flying. They sat on branches, on power lines, on the ground, staring south. Total silence. Then, the GPS went. Not just your phone. Every satellite in orbit didn't just fail. They vanished. We didn't know it yet, but the ceiling of our world had just been deleted. Meet Jack. He's a black site technician in the Colorado Rockies. His job is to monitor ghost signals, frequencies that shouldn't exist. At 4:05 p.m., his monitors didn't show static. They showed a heartbeat, a rhythmic, organic pulse coming from the moon. The moon wasn't a rock anymore. It was a doorbell. The sky didn't turn dark because of clouds. It turned dark because something moved between us and the sun. It wasn't a ship. It was a world eater, a biological entity the size of Western Europe, covered in glowing blue veins. It didn't fire a laser. It just exhaled. That exhale didn't kill us. It did something worse. It turned off the human filter. For our entire history, we've perceived 1% of reality. Suddenly, the filter broke. We started seeing the others. They've been here the whole time, standing in our living rooms, sitting in our cars, invisible parasites that feed on our boredom, and they were terrified. Jack watched on his monitor as the invisible entities in his lab scrambled to hide. Why would ghosts be afraid of an alien? Because the alien wasn't here to conquer Earth. It was here to reclaim its livestock. The World Eater broadcasted a message directly into every human brain. It didn't use words, it used memories. We saw our own birth, but we didn't see our mothers. We saw a laboratory. We saw a silver-skinned being injecting emotion into a blank, fleshy biped. The punch? We aren't a product of evolution. We are a flavor. Humans were engineered to be the most emotionally volatile creatures in the galaxy because, to the things living in the deep void, anger tastes like spice, and fear tastes like wine. The massive entity over the Atlantic began to harvest. It lowered a tether of pure light. When it touched the ocean, the water didn't boil. It turned into gold, not the metal, a liquid, psychic energy. It was sucking the soul out of the planet's core. But the aliens made one fatal mistake. They forgot who they used as the base code for humanity. They didn't build us from scratch. They took a dormant, apex predator from a dying galaxy and pacified it with empathy. As the harvest light hit the ground, it didn't just take our energy, it short-circuited the pacification chip in our DNA. Jack, standing in his lab, felt his heart rate drop to 20 beats per minute. He didn't feel fear, he didn't feel wonder. He felt a cold, crystalline hunger. Across the USA, the standard human was disappearing. In a grocery store in Ohio, a grandmother dropped her milk. Her skin didn't tear, it shifted. It turned into a matte black, light-absorbing carbon fiber. She looked at the sky and her eyes went from blue to a terrifying, glowing infrared. We weren't the livestock anymore. The great mistake was thinking you could tame a supernova by putting it in a glass jar. The jar just broke. 8 billion glass shards just hit the floor. The World Eater sensed the change. Its blue veins turned a panicked red. It tried to retract its tether, but it was too late. A man in New York, a simple taxi driver, grabbed the beam of light with his bare hands, and he pulled. Think about that. A 180-pound man pulling a billion-ton celestial entity toward the Earth. He wasn't using muscles. He was using will. The pacification was the only thing stopping us from rewriting the laws of physics with our minds. The sky began to scream, literally. The atmosphere vibrated as the alien entity realized it wasn't the hunter, it was the delivery driver. It had just delivered a buffet of 8 billion apex predators to a galaxy that thought we were extinct. Jack looked at his hands. He could see through the walls. He could see the atoms vibrating in the air. He realized that gravity was just a suggestion. He stepped off the floor and didn't fall. He flew, not like a bird, like a bullet. He burst through the roof of the mountain base. He wasn't alone. The sky was filled with black streaks. Millions of humans, finally awake, were launching themselves into orbit. No spacesuits, no rockets, just raw, unlocked spite. The World Eater tried to jump into hyperspace, but a group of teenagers in Los Angeles linked minds and froze the dimensions around the planet. They locked the door. "You're not leaving. They whispered in unison, a psychic roar that shattered every window on the west coast. The first human hit the alien's hull at Mach 50, then another, then 1,000. We didn't use bombs, we were the bombs. We tore into the biological ship like piranhas on a whale. Inside the ship, the architects, the silver-skinned scientists, were weeping. They had spent eons dumbing us down. They thought they had turned the universe's most violent species into social media users and accountants. They forgot that if you compress a spring for 300,000 years, the release isn't a bounce. It's an explosion. Jack entered the bridge of the World Eater. The architect looked at him, trembling. "We gave you everything," the alien screamed. "We gave you art. We gave you love. We gave you music to keep you happy." Jack looked at the alien. His voice sounded like a chorus of 1,000,000,000 souls. "You gave us those things to keep us in the cage," Jack said, "but you forgot to check the lock." Jack didn't kill the architect. He did something much worse. He shared his memory. He forced the alien to feel 300,000 years of human history, every war, every betrayal, every heartbreak, and every moment of unrequited love. The alien's brain turned to liquid. Its nervous system couldn't handle the spice of human emotion. It died in a fit of ecstatic agony. Outside, the World Eater was being dismantled. Humans were stripping the technology, absorbing the energy, and turning the ship into a new, metallic Earth. We didn't need the sun anymore. We were our own light source. But here's the real twist. The World Eater wasn't the boss. It was a scout. Far across the galaxy, in the bright center, the Galactic Council watched the Earth signal turn from Livestock to hazard. They realized their quarantine had failed. They tried to send the correction fleet, 10,000 ships, each capable of exploding a star. They arrived at the edge of our solar system in a blink. They prepared to fire, but they stopped, because on their screens, they didn't see a planet. They saw a message written in the debris of the moon, carved with psychic fire. "We remember the exile. The human fleet didn't wait for them to attack. We didn't have ships, but we had the World Eater's engines now. We didn't just defend Earth, we moved it." Imagine being an alien soldier, looking out your window and seeing the planet Earth, continents glowing, oceans shimmering, drifting through deep space at the speed of light, headed straight for your capital. We didn't come to conquer, we came to evict. We decided the universe was too crowded. The correction fleet fired. Every star-destroying laser hit the Earth's atmosphere, and nothing happened. The humans simply absorbed the energy. We used their own weapons to charge our new world. Jack, standing on the edge of the new Earth, looked out at the approaching alien fleet. He felt a strange sensation. For the first time in his life, he wasn't bored. He wasn't tired. He realized that the aliens were right about one thing. Humans are a weapon, but they were wrong about who owned the weapon. The Great Silence is coming back to the universe, but this time, it won't be because life is rare. It will be because we are the only ones left allowed to speak. They wanted to taste our fear. Now, they're going to drown in it.